Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Search for Meaning podcast, where each week I have on a different guest where we will delve into their history and their mysterious life path that they've chosen. Before I introduce my guest, I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsor. Fourth episode in, and I've already got a sponsor. So big shout outs to Precure Health and Wellness. His name is Sean Kowalenko. He specializes in massage, breath work, nutrition, and anything that's designed to help you live a fruitful life. You can find him on Instagram at Sean_Kowa. That's SEAN_KOWA. That's Sean Kowalenko. And today's guest, we've got a very good friend of mine, a longtime friend of mine, Chad Campbell. So Chad has got a very interesting story. I've watched his journey from early days of as far as going back as far as our school days, and I've seen such a huge transformation in Chad's life, to being a single man, abusing his body, to having a lovely wife with so many kids. I can't even keep count of how many kids he's got. He runs a successful business. And Chad, the stage is yours. I'll let you carry on with your introduction. So where's your head at? How's life treating you, Chad?
The present moment in time, Boo, it couldn't be better. Always room for improvement, but I think when you start with yourself and how you feel at this current present moment in time, couldn't be better. I feel great. Like you say, Boo, it has been a bit of a journey. I think the anticipation, I'm 36 now, the anticipation of turning past 30 was quite nerve-wracking. But now I'm well over the hill. I feel like I'm living my best life to date, which is good.
Yeah, I was just literally about to ask you, how is the quality of your life since you've started embarking on a journey to self improvement? But clearly you've answered that right now. But
yeah, do you know what it is, Boo? In contrast to pre self improvement, the position you find that I found myself in with social anxiety and mental health issues and stuff like that, because I'd had no direction. I didn't really know what I wanted in life or where I was going in life, and I felt really inferior. In fact, I spent most of my life feeling inferior for one reason or another. But then when I stopped looking outside for the thing, whatever the thing was, to make me happy, and I started to look internal, then everything can just change just like that. The whole mindset, the whole outlook. And it's just a case of, if your mind is in a place of feeling sorry for yourself, feeling lost and confused, anything of that direction, then the anxiety and the frustration and the feeling not good enough, all those circumstances turn into real life events. All those thoughts turn into real life circumstances where you can validate exactly why you're feeling like that. The trick is to change your mindset and just to change the way you think about yourself and the way that you observe yourself. And then, again, just like that, certain circumstances change, certain doors open, certain opportunities happen, and then life just begins on a different path.
Right, Chad. So I'm gonna ask you to take it way back before all this started. Like, we're gonna take a trip down memory lane and work our way up to now. So what was life like for you as far back as you can remember? What's been significant? What can you remember as significant that no longer serves you in your life? Stuff that you used to do that, and now you're a lot wiser to all those things. So let's go back.
Interesting, mate. Thank you. So I was actually born into the Royal Artillery. I was born in Germany. My dad spent 16 and a half years in the army. So I grew up in that environment, which was a great environment for me. Unfortunately, after spending 16 and a half years in the Royal Artillery, my dad came out to spend a little bit more time with his family, and he was killed in a tragic work-related accident. I was 8. I'm one of 4 siblings, and our family was torn apart, as you can imagine. Growing up in school at that age, I probably lost about 2 years of school around about that time because I lost all sense of interest in learning and in education, and that had a massive knock-on effect throughout my progression in school. I wasn't interested in what the books had to say or what the teachers had to say. I had a lot on my plate at the time, so I got behind quite significantly. As a result of being behind and not wanting to be, singled out as being big or struggling, I turned to behaviour, because if I wasn't going to be the best at being good at anything at school, I wanted to be recognised for something, and that's where the behaviour started. So I left school being able to spell fudge with my GCSEs. Didn't think I was going to go anywhere with that. The teachers were right in my mind, the ones that were saying, you're never going to amount to anything, you wasted your time here, yada, yada, yada. They were right at the time because they're just looking at it on the face value of the things that they could see. And I didn't really know where I was going in life. The only thing I had for me, despite what happened on paper at school, is I had an incredible work ethic. So as soon as I got into work, my desire to be the best at what I was doing, no matter what it was, I put 110% effort into everything that I did. I left school in 2003. At that time, I was only doing odds and sods, odd jobs here and odd jobs there. And then, because I wasn't really satisfied with what I was doing at work and where I was working at the time, I quickly found myself in an environment surrounded by, and the background, the people that we were hanging around with at the time. But I found myself in an environment where it was drug fueled, and it was almost like a family, because my household, although it was a loving household, and my mum loves me to bits, and I've always been cared for and everything, I felt so much disconnect at home because I was because of everything that was going on with my mindset of feeling like I was inferior and feeling like I needed to prove a point. So I got caught up in the wrong crowd, in hindsight, and drugs became a large part of my day-to-day life. And the sort of people that I was associating with back then, it was very fast-paced, quite aggressive, and just leading me down the wrong path, leading myself down the wrong path. It was all fun and exciting and whatnot, but luckily for me, after a few years of being on that path, I did realise that I was on the wrong path and surrounding myself with the wrong people, and I ended up getting a job in the pressure washing industry, pressure washing pig and poultry farms, and it's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me because, well, I'll take you on the journey of how things happened. So I set off on my little journey into the pressure washing world, cleaning pig and poultry farms all over the country. I got myself a driving license. I was no longer stuck in my little hometown. I had wings. I could move. I could get around, which was great.
We could move. Thanks to you and your car.
Move. Yeah. We got about. So, I was now free. I could move. I could scale. I got a job where I didn't have to depend on my local little town. Drugs still did follow me for quite a number of years, and obviously it's quite hard to shake off the wrong crowd because they've become friends, and I had to work hard at that. As you know, it was a large. I'm trying to cover it without putting a great deal of emphasis on it, because I know that I've got kids that will eventually watch this as well. So, it happened. It was part of my life, and we grew up. And luckily for me, I fell into that pressure washing world, and it's the only thing that I've realised that I was good at. Leaving school, being able to spell fudge from my GCSEs, I knew I wasn't going to be a doctor. I knew I wasn't going to be an accountant or a lawyer or anything like that. I could graft, and that's what I was really, really good at. I could graft. After 10 years of pressure washing pig and poultry farms, my body was knackered, physically knackered, sore back, sore neck, constantly looking up under great deals of pressure. And I decided to kind of like retire from that line of work and I'll become a farm manager, a poultry farm manager, which I thought was amazing. I thought I could retire into that line of work for forever. And so I've come from a farm washing background now to an egg producing farm manager looking after 32,000 hens. I had a lot of respect for the farming world. So I turned this little place around to be something magnificent. We were producing food. I respected that. And I took everything I knew about farm hygiene and I turned it into one of the best egg producing farms that our producers that were grown for had seen. Which was all good. But after 4.5 years of trying my best and getting very little appreciation from the guys I was working for, I soon realised that that my mind was in a world of hell, if I'm being honest with you, pure hell. Anxiety, lack of self-belief, wondering where I was going in life. I felt like I was doing so well. I felt like I was giving this company like everything that I had. And they probably didn't even realise they were doing anything wrong. Because I don't expect someone to get on hands and knees and grovel and say, like, you're amazing, you've done this, you've done that. But a little pat on the back every now and again just goes a long way. And I wasn't getting that. And after 4.5 years, I realised that that my social life was disappearing. I hadn't been off the farm in some instances for like an entire month. My nearest neighbour was half a mile away. And the nearest neighbour being half a mile away means that nobody's really biking past your house, walking past your house. It was on 150 acres of land, beautiful scenery. It was a 4-bedroom farmhouse. I mean, on the outside, looking from the outside in, it was the most ideal place in the world. Some people thought they were on holiday when they come into our house. It was beautiful and idyllic. But for me, it was hell. And it was hell because not being able to socialise on a regular basis with other people outside of like work commitments, then work would finish. I was doing 13 days on, 1 day off, socialising with just 1 or 2 people on the farm, and then back to my little hub and the family. After a long period of time, my mind was so skew-iffed that if I happened to walk into Tesco and I bumped into a lot of people who just hadn't seen Chad for a while and wanted to talk to me, I couldn't cope. I hadn't had that exposure to people. And it was because I'd become a massive introvert, didn't believe in myself, and I was hugely lost within my own mind. I was approaching 30. My dad was killed at 34, so I was thinking that my life was coming towards an end, and I didn't really know what to do with that. As you know, we've had 4 kids. 2 of them were born on the farm, and on one occasion, Lisa had just given birth to one of our kids. And I couldn't physically, we pulled up outside Tesco's that same day, and I couldn't physically get outside the car to walk into Tesco's and purchase the food because I was too scared about meeting somebody, bumping into somebody, anybody. My anxiety was killing me. I had at the time walked out of my own kids' birthday parties because I couldn't deal with the thought of being in a room full of people who know me, might be judging me, might be looking at me, might be talking about me, might want to talk to me. And how would that feel if I'm not used to, if I don't believe in myself and I can't look them in the eye and I feel really insecure? So there was a lot going on in my mind at that time, and I had to dig really deep down into myself and say, like, right, okay, this isn't working. From the outside in, it was so idyllic that I could retire into this position, but in my mind, I couldn't continue another day because it was my whole mind and my whole life at the time felt like it was coming to an end. So I took a real hard look at myself and I said, like, what is it that you're good at? What is it that you can do? And I realised that the only thing that I was good at and worthy of was pressure washing. So for 10 years prior to this job, I had pressure washed pig and poultry farms. The whole time I was on this farm, I'd washed my own farms. So bloody good as well. But the only thing I could give myself credit for was pressure washing. So I decided, without any business background whatsoever, I decided that I was going to hand it all in, hand that lifestyle in, and set up on my own little journey, pressure wash. Well, when I went to my wife and said, by the way, we're leaving the farmhouse, the 4-bedroom farmhouse that we pay very little money for. We're going to need a second car. We're going to need a van. And we're starting all over again. You can imagine how that went. Well, the mother-in-law kind of started like this. Whose patio are you going to clean? Where are you going to get the work from? Where are you going to live? Where's the family going to live? You know, like, how are you going to do this? I'm like, do you know what? I said, I was so determined back then, because this isn't working, that I would knock on every single door in the UK if I had to. Every single door in the UK until I got a yes. That was the level of determination I was working with. I believed in myself. I believed in my own abilities. I had no reason to, really. I had no business background. There's no way I could say I've done that before. I had no real reason to believe in myself, but I did. And that belief, mate, that momentum, that drive that I had at the beginning to be successful and to make sure that my kids had food on their table, we had somewhere to live. It started off by putting a pressure washer. I had to save up for a pressure washer, mate. I was on £80 a day as a farm manager, and I had to save up for my first pressure washer. That pressure washer got picked up, got put in the boot of my car, and it got taken to here and there. And then eventually got picked up and put in friends' vans, where, you know, a friend might pick my van up, pick the pressure washer up, take it to a job, and I'll do these little sideline jobs on a weekend until I could afford a deposit on a van. Eventually, the deposit came, and that was it, mate. I was gone. I had my own van. I had my own brand. I sat and thought really long and hard. Did I want to be Chad cleaning? Did I want to be Campbell cleaners or something like that? I'd put a lot of time and effort into who I wanted to be, how I wanted the company to look, and how I wanted to be perceived from the outside looking in. And I wanted to be perceived as a brand. So very early on, I put a lot of thought and effort into how I was going to name the company, how I was going to be perceived from the outside in. People still to this day think that we are a franchise, and something bigger than just a one-man band at the time. And you know, luckily for me, Boo, and for my wife and for the kids, it worked and it paid off, because we now do have a company which employs people, employs staff. We have a sales team, we have a production team, people working in marketing, multiple vans going out there, cherry picker, and all this was born and stemmed from an idea. Sat in my head, sat in frustration, wondering what there is on the other side. And that idea, I swear down, people talk about the law of attraction and they talk about creating it in your mind. I'm telling you, if you've ever had any uncertainty about it, please take my word for it, because everything that I do now today was born in my mind. Thought about it for so long, saw it, visualized it, created every single part of it to this day, and then the reality just happens right in front of your eyes.
All stemmed from your self-belief, Chad, eh? All stemmed from your self-belief. That's a lot to take in for that part, that phase of your life, that phase of your life. I'm getting the theme of a lot of disconnect from your younger days, from as early as you can remember. There's a lot of disconnect from when you lost your dad, and then having drugs in your life, being around the wrong crowd. Like, I can totally relate to it. And with that disconnect, you know, it carries on through it. You know, we still work on it today. You're still working on it right now. Like, I'm working on it right now, because that disconnection, which led you to taking drugs and then living a life, doing a job that that was breaking you. And to get to the point where, if you're not using drugs anymore, you're keeping yourself busy by being distracted and you know, being driven by success, which of course, you know, being driven by your motivations, by your drives to be successful is all well and good, but that disconnect as well carries on in your current life, because you can be in the same house as your family and your kids, but are you actually present?
Yeah.
And this theme of disconnect is, you know, a lot of people can learn from this. And if we can pay attention to why you're doing certain things, what are you trying to distract yourself from. And so yeah, this disconnection theme that I can like tell in your life has been quite apparent, even up until recently,
Hmm.
until you started your journey of self actualization, meditation, your spiritual journey. And how's the quality of your life now? Like, if you look back to the disconnect, even though you were present in the same room as your family and kids, compared to now that you're trying to learn to be present and be a better individual.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize. I didn't realize the issues that I was still carrying in this phase of my life. The anger was pre spiritual journey and pre self love. I was carrying a lot of anger and a lot of
Mm,
like hatred for various different things, and that that in itself spills out into the ones that you love the most. So when
mm,
you're angry at something, um, and it's deep rooted anger. When you're angry at something, at life, even if on the face of it, it looks like you are doing something really successful in business. If you've got deep rooted anger, which stems from, say, like childhood, for instance, that those issues follow you through life, and they continuously come to you in terms of like lessons until you learn your lesson, until
yeah,
you
but
learn what it is that you are what it is that you are uh,
what you need to
struggling
learn.
with, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, looking back at your own life, when you said that you had anger issues, did you realize that you had anger issues in the time when you were displaying those anger issues? Did you know that it stemmed from somewhere deep rooted, or were you just unaware? Was it something that you were unconscious about? You know what I mean?
I feel like it become a part of life. I feel like it become a character,
Mm,
and it's just it become the everyday norm. And I think when you do something for the first time, it can even shock you. If you do something out of character, it can shock you. You do it again and again and again, and it
becomes
becomes
the
a
norm.
habitual way. And then you do it without thinking because it's just deeply rooted into your paradigm, into your habitual ways. And that's when it becomes a bigger issue, because that's when you don't really have control anymore over what you're doing with your habits. And if your habit is to be angry and short with people that you love, um, then you can kind of set yourself up for an unnecessary and an unaware, but being unaware of your temperament. And when you're unaware of it and it's got a negative adverse effect, then that's quite hard to control. So being able to step back and look at you've touched on that situation there. One of my spiritual journeys was that talking about disconnect was I was put into the environment of myself being inside my own living room from a different perspective and looking at my wife and my kids all in the same room,
Mm,
and we were there as a family. Some of us might have been on YouTube, some of us might have been on our phone, some of us might have been watching the TV, and none of us were actually engaging with each other. Now, very similarly to what I was talking about there, that become the norm. None of us really realised that we were there, but we weren't there. So it become normal just to be in the same house, in the same bricks and mortar, but not really being there. So now
mm.
we've made tweaks, we've made changes, we've made purposeful time together. The phones can go down, the music can go on. The talking, the conversation, rather than just eating at the sofa or one of the kids saying, "I really need to play this game. I need to go play back upstairs." It's like we don't not eat at the kitchen table. We always eat at the kitchen table. And it's just like that talking about school, that talking about how's your day been? If it's not been good, let's address it. What happened? How can you do it differently? And then that connectivity is just like so important.
It just adds a lot of quality to your life, definitely,
It
for
does.
sure. Really
It's a smaller thing.
nurturing, yeah, nurturing, your loved ones, your family. That's where the joy is. Like, when I spend time with my son, like you know, he's absolutely the best teacher I've had. Like, and you know, he is my teacher because if I pick up my phone, he notices that, and you
Yeah.
know, it's not good on his. It's not good for me to be picking up my phone when I'm supposed to be spending time and being present for my son. But yeah, those quality moments, man, they just they are amazing. So
Mm.
anyway, Chad, so what brought you to starting a journey, your spiritual journey? So what at what point? Obviously, I've got a lot to play in this as well because,
Yeah.
like I asked you, but yeah, I just had a
Okay.
feeling like as well that it would be something that would benefit you, and I just presented it to you, and yeah. So tell me about it.
Well, it was interesting because we have known each other for 20 years or more now. And there was a time where we were inseparable. We spent every day and every night, as mates, doing things. And then life happened all of a sudden. Children came along, jobs, relationships, and quite a number of years went by that we didn't really speak.
Mhm.
And then you found yourself in a line of business, and we started talking about this, that, and the other. And it's like when friends are such good friends, years can go by without saying a single word. Then when you reconnect, it's just like you kicked off from yesterday. It's so good.
Yeah.
So we started dropping messages backwards and forwards about business and about Bob Proctor and about various different inspirational people. And we were helping each other. I'd come to you with a book that I found some great inspiration in, and you'd come to me with an audible about this, that, and the other. We're getting so much guidance from it, and so much help, and so much wisdom. Then suddenly you turned around and said, "By the way, I've been on this particular spiritual journey recently, and here's how it affected me, and here's how I gained, an immense amount of benefit from it. There's another one coming up. Do you fancy doing it?" My mindset at that point then is, well, hey, lads weekend, let's go see what it's all about.
Mm.
And that's the sort of mindset that I took into it until I experienced it,
Last
until I
weekend,
realized, yeah, until I
we're
sort of
gonna be
realized,
sniffing loads of coke and drinking beers. Yes.
yeah, well, no, not quite, not this time, but it's like the 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 reality of what I got from it. I thought it was gonna be packed full of like excitement, something different, this, that, and the other, and it's been life changing. There was excitement there. Don't get me wrong. The journey down there and everything was amazing, but so humbling, so grounding, so literally life changing. But not just for me.
Mm.
My mindset and things that's happened to me over this journey has impacted my whole family, the people at work for me. I remember the first day that I came back into the company, I had people dropping messages and say, "Wow, like I can feel the love. Like what's going on?
Mm.
There's something changed." What it was, Boo, is I was suddenly on a different frequency. When you're operating on a different frequency to what you have been operating on, everybody notices it, and nobody really understands what's just happened. They've just come into there's a vibe change, there's a frequency change, and nobody knows what's gone on. They can feel it, they just can't put the finger on it and say that's it. So we're getting lots of communication going around saying, "I'm not quite sure what's happening, but there's a buzz, and we want this to maintain." And that's that, keeping that momentum going. It has its ups and its downs because on your spiritual journey, you realize you've got highs and lows. It's the law of polarity. You have to have good days. You have to have bad days. It's one of the laws of the universe. It has to happen. But now when I'm having a bad day, it's not doom and gloom. It's a lesson. There's something to be learned from it. Learn the lesson. You've only got 24 hours in a day. Don't let this lesson repeat itself on another day. Sit with it. Try and understand it. If you can't resolve it, just send it some love and let it get on its way. If you can resolve it, sit and think tight about it. What can I do to change this? Can I speak to that person about it? Can I alter this situation? Can I do something? If it's a yes, go balls deep. Change it. Learn your lesson. If it's a no, as I say, just accept it. Send love to that area of yourself, your life, your situation, and let it go.
You sound like me talking to you. Like, this is how I used to talk to you about a year ago. And now, like, before, you used to be like just getting angry at things when they don't go your way. But listen to yourself now, Chad. Like,
No, I
you've
know.
actually matured. Like, it's absolutely amazing. Just because we've known each other that long, it's absolutely beautiful to see the change and progression, especially in a positive way. I'm so glad I
Mm,
reached out to you, that it's benefited your life as well, as because your role as a businessman and a family man, you've got a lot of responsibility on your plate.
sure.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm thankful that I could have that I invited you on this journey with me to share this journey. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it helped me, and obviously we came from similar backgrounds and similar upbringings, being around drugs and stuff. And obviously we got to the point where we're just fed up, and we knew that we're worth so much more. And all it takes is just to search, read, study, and discover and go on mad adventures of
Mm.
self-discovery.
And upon reflection of that, Boo, I am so grateful that you considered to reach out to me. Because you've got a large network of people who are friends, and you kind of came to me and said, "This thing, whatever it may be, I believe you're ready for it. This this
Mm.
this 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 experience, I believe you're ready for it." And at the time, I didn't really know. I didn't really know much about this alternative, plant medicine, and but I knew you, and I went with it. And had you have not considered me as being a worthy person for this change that you've been experiencing, I wouldn't be the person that I am now, sitting here today. So I've got so much gratitude and so much thanks for you, that you kind of reached out to me and said, "Let's see where let's see where we can take you."
Yeah, I'm inspired by the quality of your life, like how it's unfolded. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. So, talking about journeys with plant medicines, various plant medicines, you had the honor to sit with the Kambo,
Mm.
plant medicine Kambo. So
Yeah. So
tell us about that.
it's my second sitting. It was my
Mm.
second sitting, and if we hadn't had this video this morning, there wouldn't have been any conversation. It really knocked me for six. I was very
Mm.
tired. I was depleted. I went there full of energy, full of life, and then the Cambo did its thing, and it absolutely depleted me. But I'm just going to go back a stage.
Mm.
On my first sit-in, of course, I had no idea what Cambo was.
Yeah,
I
what
knew
is
it was.
Kambo? For the listeners, for people who are listening, but a lot of people probably don't know what Kambo is. So,
Okay. So Kambo is a frog poison, a poison extracted from frogs.
can I correct
And
you there? It's actually not a poison. It's actually a peptide.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you, appreciate that, bro. So I had this peptide,
Mm.
and before I had it, before it was administered, I heard about this frog, this particular frog that lives in the Amazonian rainforest. And I heard about some of its attributes that it upholds. Now it's got either no known predators or very few predators. So it walks around the Amazon rainforest absolutely strutting its stuff. It's got no stress, no anxiety, no depression, no concerns. It's happy, and it can just walk freely. It's a free man. And when I realised that you can acquire some of its attributes, I thought, wow, these are some of the things that I could benefit from. It can help solve PTSD, depression. It can help solve many, many, many human ailments. And the way that they administer it is they burn several small openings into the skin, which sounds quite horrific, but it's not. It's a little incense burner, a little incense candle, and it's just a dab, a dab, a dab, a dab, a dab, a few dabs down the arm. Now there's an opening. There's somewhere for the peptide to be able to get in to your system. And on the first ever encounter, it was, we've not done this before. You've not experienced this before. It's a new thing. Let's do it one at a time. So we went one, see how we feel. We did another one, see how you feel. And how you feel is you get a sudden sensation of being hot. There's like a foreign body inside you. Your body is probably a little bit confused, doesn't know how to react to it. So it burns up, gets hot.
Mm.
And but what the magic of what's happening is the medicine gets inside of you and it starts to rid you of toxins. So you turn up to this environment fasted, so you've got no food in your stomach whatsoever. You drink and you flush loads of water, so about 1.5 liters before you actually start the process. So your body's full of water. So that's all circulating inside of you. No food. When the peptides get to work, your body does what it does best. It flushes out. What is this? It flushes out the toxins in the pits of your stomach are released. They're brought up. The release is called purging, and you purge up everything that doesn't serve you right in your system. Well, today the second sitting, of course, I knew what I was going into. I knew what I was expecting, and the question was asked: would you like to take it steady, one bit at a time, or would you like to go all in and have all 5 in one go and see how that affects you? And I said, you know what I'm like? I said, yeah, crack on, let's go all in. So we went all in, and we put the medicine on each opening, and within about a minute, the heat came, felt hot, and I recognized it. I knew what I was in for. Then I felt so weak. I actually, on this occasion, never felt as weak. My arms, I had a little bit of cramping, because what it does is it gets to areas of your body where you're holding tension. And it gets to work straight into those areas. So I felt a little bit of pins and needles in my upper arms and a little bit of tension, and it got straight into there and started to do its magic and started to release that. The purging comes. It came on quite heavily. So as you can imagine, you've just drunk 1.5 liters of water on an empty stomach. It's going to come up, and it's going to come up quite fast. But it brings up with it all of the toxins and all of the stuff that doesn't really serve you well inside your system, and it releases it. Then afterwards, wow, it's just, my strength came back. It took a little while because I was tired for most of the day. It's 6 o'clock at night now. This happened at 10 o'clock in the morning. I've got my energy back again. I've had some beautiful food, some nice food. I'm now restored and recharged. And if this occasion is anything as a reflection of last time, tomorrow's going to be an amazing day. Because the next day, after having this medicine, I was on fire in terms of like energy. I've never known anything like it. Well, I hear a rumor. Well, it's not a rumor. It's more of a I can't think of the word. I can't think of the word. A legacy, like a legacy.
Okay.
And this legacy is that in fact, I've just gone down the wrong path there with the word legacy. Basically, the where it originates from, the tribal men have this product, have this medicine a day or two before they go out on a hunt, for 2 reasons. One, so that they actually so that the fragrance that they're giving off is to make them fit in with the environment. And 2, because of the amount of energy that it gives them, it's just insane. So they go out fully charged, fully loaded, and they're proper primal hunters at this point. But the women also have it to make themselves more attractive, believe it or not, because your blood is flourishing. You look, they just look healthier. They've got. Again, I can't think of the correct word, but they just look like they're glowing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they have it for those sort of benefits.
It's quite common for women to use Kambo. In fact, a lot of Kambo sittings and stuff that I've heard that people have sat with Kambo, I've heard it's mainly women that sit with Kambo. I'm like, okay, so
really,
women are going strong with the Kambo.
Yeah.
So how many points of entry did you have? How many burns?
So I'm doing what's called a lunar cycle,
So
and on the
3 times
lunar,
in a month, right?
yeah, 3 times in a month. Yeah. So, and it doesn't have to be the same month, just in a month period.
Okay.
So the first sitting I had 5 on this arm,
Yeah.
the second sitting I had 5 on this arm,
Yeah.
and I think the next time round I would like to have 5 on my back somewhere,
Okay.
somewhere on my back, just out of preference, or maybe it's at the top of my neck, just out of preference. Really spread out. I would like to avoid going back to the arms, just because I've
Mm.
experienced that now. I know females with the practitioner I've sat with today, he tends to administer in the legs,
Okay.
and he said it's because it takes longer for it to get up to the heart, whereas with many he does it in
Oh.
the upper arms because it gets the heart space quicker.
Okay.
So this time round, I think I'd like to try it in my back, and then by the third sitting, I'd have had 15 points of entry. Now,
Mm.
can I just ask you how many points of entry you had on your first time?
Okay, so the first time I went in deep, I think I had seven points of entry. Like I've got this thing where I think it's just me. I'm a risk taker. Like I make bold moves. If I go in deep. So I think the second time I actually did 17 points of entry.
Wow.
So all in one sitting. So I had
Yeah.
like 3 sittings. What you'd have like the one sitting you had today. I had 3 of those sittings with uh, with 10 minutes break in between. Like
Amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
my face. I looked like a frog afterwards. Like
You did.
for,
I've
for
seen you.
two for
Yeah.
2 3 days afterwards, I looked like a frog. But like
Yeah. Let me just explain to your listeners what you mean by you look like a frog, because you actually did. You had really bulgy, puffy eyes. Your cheeks had lifted up. They were quite inflated as well, and even from memory, I think even your lips, everything about your face had just like increased. And yeah, you definitely took the attributes of a frog.
yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah.
the Kambo is definitely cleansing on a cellular level. It cleanses
Mm.
your insides, and it'd be stupid to go and put shit food and alcohol in your body after that.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
but
processed food.
I did utilize the Kambo experience, and my meditations became um so deep, so intense. Because I was meditating like nearly twice a day for quite some time, and
Mm.
I've fallen off a little bit with the meditation, but the Campbell really opened me up to really paying attention and to listen to my inner voice. And so
Yeah.
yeah, this journey has just been it's a journey of going inward rather than looking outward, and the amount of
Mm.
stuff that we find inward just enhances the quality of our lives. And every day it's a constant battle to stay on point. So how's the healthy living treating you? How long since you drank alcohol and abstained from using stuff? And yeah,
Yeah.
what's that
It's
like?
well, stuff isn't part of my life at all. It's no longer serves me, no longer a part of my life, and it never will be. Alcohol,
Mm,
because it's so widely accepted and it's very mainstream and everybody does it. You can't go into a restaurant without there being alcohol. You can't go out to a barbecue, a friend's house on a Friday night without there being alcohol. It's everywhere. It's so widely accepted. But unfortunately, there's not a single benefit. There's not a single benefit to consuming alcohol. Now, I had a bit of a problem with whiskey, and I was
mm,
drinking large amounts of whiskey. And then one day, I kind of woke up and thought to myself, what am I actually doing to my own bloodstream here? What am I doing? And this was pre ceremonies and pre experiences and pre spiritual world. And although I was conscious about it, and I was thinking to myself, what am I doing? How detrimental is this to my health? I'll still continue. I'll go to the pubs, etc. Post spiritual awakening, I haven't. I mean, this is only quite a short-lived journey for me, and I haven't drunk now since middle of December. And when I say I haven't drunk, I've been in restaurants, I've been on nights out, I've been here, there, and everywhere, and not a single drop. I won't entertain it. It's not who I am anymore. But it doesn't just stop at alcohol. Junk foods. Now then, I love chocolate, and I will still. I don't like to call it a treat because you're still not putting like really. It's not really a treat. A treat to me would be like going to the gym, I guess. You know what I mean? You're treating your body. I'll treat myself to a meditation or a swim. But I will still have something that I really, really like, even though it doesn't serve me particularly well. But my conscious awareness of it is completely changed tenfold. I couldn't drive past McDonald's at one point without swinging in and having whatever it was that I fancied to eat, and a lot of it. And it would all sit around my waist, and I'd feel unhealthy, and I'd feel, all the things that come with eating junk food. But since I've found a lot more respect for my body, I could drive past any fast food restaurant, literally any fast food restaurant, and not get the urge to pull in. But so much more's changed. We know ourselves really well as human beings. We feel like we know ourselves really well, but really we don't give ourselves enough time to know ourselves really well. And let me elaborate on that. During one of my sit-ins with the plant medicine, I actually met my ego, my protector, and my vulnerability. Now, most people might be sat here thinking, like, what are you even talking about? Like, I've heard ego, I had heard ego, I've said it, I've used it in like an insulting manner to people before, egotistic and this, that, and that. I had no idea what ego actually was. Until I got put into an environment where I had to park it, and I was within plant medicine, and my body was going through a process where I was releasing some trauma. It was doing a little bit of shaking. I was very aware of what was happening. I realized that the shaking was just me releasing some trauma, and I was actually quite enjoying it. It felt good. But through the process, something kept on popping up on my right-hand side. And I was aware that it was happening, but I had no idea what it was. And then eventually, this sensation grew stronger and stronger. And I realized from this realm that I was in, it was my ego. And my ego kept on showing up, and it wouldn't allow me to continue on my journey. So I was asked to park it. Now, at the time, it didn't really make much sense. But I addressed what was happening, and I parked my ego. I asked it to settle, just to stand down. As I continued on my journey, and I'm experiencing what I was experiencing, this other thing starts showing up on my left shoulder. And I realise that you're looking at things back to front here. My left and my right will look different, but it's showing up on my left shoulder. And at the time, I didn't really realise what it was, but it was my protector. Like, are you okay? Are you okay? Like, just checking in on me. And I had to park it because it wasn't serving me any purpose. And as the journey continued, once I was able to park this, the journey continued. And then suddenly I found myself very aware that that this spirit world needed to be down in my genital area. And I'm sat there thinking to myself, what does the spirit world want to do with my genital area? What's going on here? I was so confused. But I sat back and I said, it's okay. I said, whatever you have in store for me, I said, you go ahead. Well, I didn't want to say like, and I'm going to make a joke about this, like add this on or do that. I didn't want to give any cues. I didn't want to say like, by the way, like you have permission to do this but not this, or can you do this but not that, or anything like that. So I just said to it, I knew that it had something in store for me. So I said, whatever you have in store for me, you have my full permission to go ahead. And the medicine kind of like the spirit world kind of just like moved in. And I didn't know what had happened until after the ceremony, when the real world kicked in and this thing that happened relived itself in real life. And I now understand that the genital area was actually my vulnerability, and I had to let go of my vulnerability. And what it was, I can't dig too far into this story because it involves my loved ones, my life. Mm-hmm. But I had to let go in a real life situation. I had to let go of my ego. I had to park my ego. I had to let go of my vulnerability. My protector. Two things that would often like get in the way and stop you from making decisions. and I had to park my vulnerability and really let myself be open to the situation. And if it wasn't for that environment within the spirit world that I was able to live through that, and I've had to do this twice now. I've had to let go of my ego and my vulnerability and my protector. I've had to do this twice now in the real world. I wouldn't have been able to get over these daily occurring problems, which could be like telling a white lie about something, like like it could be like hiding something, but you don't want to admit to it because of how it might make you look, and you don't want to like hurt anybody. So it's like like you continuously like brush it under the carpet, or you tell a white lie about this, or you would hide that, or well, bringing it all back and being able to let go and relive these circumstances that I experienced under the plant medicine is able to really free me and allow me to live a free and open life. Like there's no holds barred. There's nothing that I have to hide. There's nothing that I have to get around and like lie about anything. And having that sort of like weight lifted off your shoulder, I'm a very honest person. I'm a very honest person, but like most people, there's some things that you've just skirted around the truth on. And I'm so happy and grateful that I can rest my head on my pillow at nighttime, having no concerns about like the smaller things that you feel that might even be insignificant to the other party. But the other party, because it's been going on for so long now, it's no longer insignificant. You've lied about something for a long period of time. What was the small things now become a big thing, and there's it has a knock-on effect. So by being able to take that experience and bring it into the real world and actually live a pure, free, and honest life is completely game-changing. Absolutely game-changing.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that in so many ways, and having to overcome that fear of being your authentic self in front of the people that may not like it.
I'm worried about how you're going to be perceived by them.
Yeah,
that's the hardest part. That's why you keep quiet.
But that's yourself blocking yourself. You're sabotaging yourself by not allowing your true self to express its authenticity just because of the fear of how the other person might take it. I found myself, like as well as yourself, roughly in similar situations, where we were hiding stuff about ourselves to our partners at the time, or my partner at the time. And yeah, it's horrible. It's a horrible feeling to live in that sort of fear of not being able to express who you really are. Do you know what I mean? So it's quite liberating to hear that, through your journey, spiritual journeys and some experiences that you've had has allowed you to look at yourself, like to look at all your actions and to see what's holding you back. And it's beautiful to see that transformation, Chad, and I can tell in your face and your voice.
Close the door now. Close the door. Quickly. Close the door, please, Jessica. Tell them to be quiet. Thank you. That was one of the 4 kids. Now we've gone on for such a long time. They've done so well. And then
they're just coming to check on you.
Yeah, do a hot chocolate. But bless her, we had the conversation with Jessica. I knew she would be the first one in. We had the conversation of just let Daddy have his time, and then it's like,
yeah, she's just coming to check on you. But yeah, it's nice to see the change that you've implemented into your life, and I can tell by when we speak, the quality of your life. You're not hiding anything. There's no concerns. If anything, now when I speak to you on the phone, you're upbeat, making sure that I'm all right. Before I used to be like, let me just check in on Chad just to see how he's getting on, see if I could lift his vibes a little bit, maybe help change his perspective. And
and you know what? I used to look at you and the journey you had gone on and think, wow, like there was an aura of like positivity about you, which had just happened like overnight. And I used to look at you thinking like, wow,
what is it?
Wow, what's going on here? Now I find myself in that aura, and it has a knock-on effect. You definitely had a knock-on effect on me and the people around you, without a doubt. And the same knock-on effect is happening, to me right now. By the way, I must state that when you go through big changes like this, it doesn't go unnoticed to your immediate family. My kids and Lisa, my wife, they thought it was weird. Daddy, like, what are you doing? There's something changed. I was on a different frequency, and they could sense that. But I'm the same person, but not quite the same person anymore. And it felt maybe a little bit uncomfortable. I was told by my kids, because we sat down, we had a conversation. Like their choice of words was things like, it just feels a little bit weird. They can't really express themselves, to the full extent as what perhaps me and you might be able to express, because we've got a little bit more life experience. But it just felt weird. And because all these things were happening so quickly, my music taste changed almost overnight, even down to like what I was wearing. Like I started to wear a hell of a lot more white because it's just so pure and so all these different things that had happened to me just changed overnight, and my consideration for what foods I'm going to be eating, and all these different things. In hindsight, people who were closest to me thought that they were losing the person who I am, because they thought that that this new excitement was going to take me on a path of like losing me. Like I would literally pick up and disappear.
Unfamiliar to them. They want familiarity.
Yeah, exactly. And there was some concerns there that that I wasn't the same person as what I am now. But what this journey has done for me, it's made me love and appreciate the things that I loved and appreciated tenfold more.
Yeah.
So whereas I've got an abundance of me and Lisa have been together for 16 years, and I've always loved her. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me. But while I've loved her, and you touched on this once upon a time, while I used to be able to say things like "I love you" or "I'm really grateful for that,"
it wasn't coming from the heart.
Felt love? Like I didn't actually know what love felt like. I got put in a position where I was actually instructed, and I knew what love felt like, because I was told no one's ever come up to you in life and said, "By the way, Julio, that feeling that you feel inside you right now, that's love. Like, remember that." It doesn't happen, right? You just there's a hazy thing. Like, do I know what love feels like? I know I love my kids, but do I actually? Is there a feeling there? Do I know what that feels like? Well, when I was with the medicine, I got put in a situation where I was a baby, and I could see myself from a different perspective. I could see the baby, but I could also see through the baby's eyes. And my mum's there, my dad's there, my nana's there, my granddad's there. Only one of those people that is actually alive, and that's my mum. And all these people are there, they're looking down at me, and I'm saying, "I love you, Mum." I'm saying, "I love you, Dad." And the feeling's being reciprocated, and I can feel it. It's coming back inside me, and the love's there. And for that first moment of my entire life, I had an aha moment. I knew what love felt like, but I had always known what love felt like. I just didn't know that I knew. So now that I can say to someone, "I love you," it comes from the feelings, the emotion. It's different levels.
Yeah, I can't help but notice the theme of this whole conversation through your journey, where there's a lot of disconnect, and now you're looking for connection again. So you see, when we're born as humans, we're born connected to our mothers, to our family. Do you know what I mean? And the world is designed to make people detach and disconnect. That's why people lose themselves. And then we try and spend the rest of our lives trying to find connection. And we try and seek connection through our relationships. But then we're seeking connection externally, instead of trying to find the connect back to our own hearts, to find the love for ourselves first. Because again, everything starts within, doesn't it?
Of course. Yeah.
Oh, we could go on and on and on, Chad. I want to kind of bring this to a close. But before we do, what current books are you reading right now?
Neville Goddard. I've just downloaded Neville Goddard's entire collection, all in one book.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, it's about 14 or 16 hours worth of listening, something along the lines of. And I'm only about 7 chapters in, but it's so heavily revolving around thinking from the end and not thinking about, oh, that goal, I'd love to be there. Because if you're thinking about the end, then there's a disconnect, and you're never really connected to that version
goal.
of you. You're thinking about the end, and there's a space in between. When you're thinking from the end, you are in that environment. You can meditate about it, you can visualize it, you can feel it, whatever it may be, and you become that version of you. So you don't aspire to be anything else. You become that, and you become that here first.
Yeah.
Just like building the business started in here first.
Yeah.
You know, and all these other things. Yeah. So that book, I think it's like the complete collection or something like that on Audible. That book is definitely something that I'm going to spend in. And I won't listen to it once. Bob Proctor told me this. You don't listen in school, you listen to a book once, or you read a book once, and then you move on to the next one, the next one, the next one. It's got so much knowledge in there, you can't possibly bring it all in. I've listened to some of Bob Proctor's books hundreds of times, literally hundreds of times. And this book, which is 14 or 16 hours, I will listen to it in my lifetime hundreds of times, if not more. Because that journey, which might only take you an hour to get there, it'll be on. And then that time where you're just doing something, and you're the only one there, you might be going for a dog walk or what, it'll be on. And then over a lifetime, you listen to it time and time and time and time again. And every time you re-listen to something,
you don't
find something new in that book. But of course, you find something new inside yourself.
Within yourself.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so keep learning, Chad. Inspired to be inspired. Keep inspiring us. Keep inspiring us by doing what you're doing.
What current book are you listening to right now?
So I'm listening to a book called Not Nice by Aziz. Okay. I forgot his second name. But yeah, Not Nice is trying to overcome that fear of speaking your truth and when you take people's feelings into consideration, like you don't want to say something which is true to yourself, but then the other person may feel hurt about it. So Not Nice is the book that I'm currently listening to right now, and it's a game changer for me, because there's times when I feel like I need to text someone and tell them I can't make it to this thing. But before, I used to like leave it till the last minute, and it's like a fear of it. But now, after since starting listening to that book, I'm able to confidently speak my truth and be myself without worrying what the other person may feel. And if the other person does take offense, then maybe they've got some work that they need to do themselves. But to be nice and to try and protect somebody's feelings, I feel like you're robbing them from their chance of healing, because you're triggering something. It's bringing something up that needs facing. So yeah, that's the book that I'm reading right now. There's so much going on in my life right now, Chad. Like, it's just amazing. Like, I'm just going with the flow and enjoying what life brings. Like this podcast, like, it's amazing. I'm enjoying speaking to people like yourself. And you know what, Chad? It's been that long, because you're such a busy guy. I appreciate you coming on and giving me your full attention. And then for over an hour, it's actually like a pleasure, because we don't really get this much time to talk a lot. But we can make time. We always do make time. But yeah, it feels like it's been a long time since we've had this in-depth conversation. Obviously, we could go on and on and on, but we're going to have to stop it right there. So before I stop the podcast, Chad, have you got anything that you'd like to share? Anything that's close to your heart? The stage is yours.
Don't be afraid or embarrassed to want better for yourself. I have suffered with the idea of thinking that by wanting better for myself, just close the door, please. By wanting better for myself, that that it could almost be the wrong thing. And I don't know why I felt like that, but don't be afraid. You don't have to share it with everybody, but don't be afraid to want better for yourself. Don't beat yourself up if you're not quite there yet, but don't be afraid to want to strive for something different, because we all conform. We all leave school. We all have some great plans, some great aspirations, and we tend to conform to what everyone else is doing around us, to 95%. And if you decide to step away from that conformity and do something a little bit different, it can feel like you're going against the grain. You can question yourself as if you're on the right path, or you should be doing this or not. But if you've got something and you believe in yourself, don't be afraid that if you feel like you're going against the grain, the society, what everyone else is doing, if you've got belief in it, go for it.
Wicked. If anybody wants to contact you regarding anything for advice or even work, because you run a pressure washing business, Clean Core UK, would you like to just leave your details? If anyone wants to use your services, they can.
Yeah, interesting, mate. How would you like that sent over?
No, just say it right now.
Okay, they can email. The
Okay.
company's an open platform, Clean Core UK, and the
On
email address can be
Facebook.
found on the website there. And I'll be happy to talk to anybody. If I've struck a nerve with something that someone can relate to, and they say, I would just like to just do that a little bit further, then that'll be a nice first opening on there, and then we can then start to share some more personal details, telephone numbers, etc., or private communication lines, and we can go a little bit deeper if necessary.
Yeah, man. Live, learn, grow. Right, we're gonna end it right there, Chad. All right.
Love
Peace
you,
and
bro. You
love,
take
my
care.
bro.